welcome back, or welcome here if you are new to my channel. If you have watched my content previously, you know I have a love for the World of Warcraft Collector's Editions art books. And today I thought we're gonna go through the last one I actually have in my collection right now. And that is the art book for the expansion Warlords of Draenor from World of Warcraft. This was quite a hard find to come by. This is one, if not the most hated expansion for the game ever. Well, up until Shadowlands. So this book is not that popular and usually goes for around $40 on eBay. It's also a lot thinner than the previous art books. I think this is just a part of the era for the company where they stopped producing a lot of items for the collector's editions boxes. They stopped with the DVDs and CDs because not a lot of people use those anymore, and the TCG cards that usually came with them, I think they stopped during the Mist of Pandaria expansion because they put down that project. They just quit doing the cards. But it's a really nice book, and this is the first time I'm actually looking into it as well. When I got it, it was still in its original plastic, so it has not actually ever been opened by anyone else. Here on the cover we can see a lot of runes in a big circle. And on the front page are some of the main lore characters from this expansion. We have Korgoth Bladefist, Grommash Hellscream, here is Ner'zhul and Gul'dan. On the back side is the Iron Horde's logo with a lot of runes as well. What I actually think is very beautiful about this book is how they made the back side and the front side have a look of a spine of a real book. It's lovely textured with a lot of raised edges, so it's really nice to touch. I hope you will enjoy this video. This is the last World of Warcraft book in my collection that I have not gone through yet, so I hope we can enjoy this one together. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. Thank you. This book is actually very beautiful for having such a bad reputation. I can actually sometimes miss the era of this expansion, even though I did not enjoy it. But I guess I'm way too nostalgic for my own good, missing the old times and missing what used to be all these years ago. I guess that's why I have such a fond love of this game. The inside of this book is actually pretty hard to open since it's never been opened before. The pages and the cover sides are very stiff, but the inside has this very beautiful printing. Here's Grommash Hellscream. The art of World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor. I think this is the expansion where they started doing too much crazy stuff with the lore. I think a lot of people can agree with that, with time traveling, alternative timelines. I don't know, you fell out of love with the story of the world of Azeroth, I guess. Chapter 1, A Brutal World, Zones of page 8, Gorgrond, page 18, Nagrand, page 28, Shadow Moon Valley, page 42, Spires of Arak, page 52, Talador, page 64, and Tanan Jungle, page 74. Here is some of the Iron Horde's building projects. And here's some of the content coming a bit forward in the book. Here we can see a CGI picture of Gul'dan. Maybe a project from the intro cinematic for this game. Chapter 2, Bricks, Banners and Buttresses, Garrisons and Other Buildings. Chapter 3, Living Wild, Indigenous Races and Bestiary, Factions, Beasts and Creatures. Chapter 4, Girded for War, Arms and Armor. A brutal world, the Zones of Draenor. Draenor is a land of extremes, surrounded by seas. Its terrain varies from dense jungles to dry wastes to moonlit valleys. As the Alliance and the Horde seek footholds in this savage place, they find that dangers of the landscapes are just as deadly as the foes they face. Section 1, Frostfire Ridge. On this frozen, windswept lava field, the Frostwolf orcs make their stance against the Iron Horde. Bladespire Fortress rises like a volcanic peak among the glaciers, while the massive skeletons of long-dead giants serve as dwelling spaces for smaller descendants. Like the great wolves that roam here, we survive in this land according to its rules, Chieftain Duroton. A lot of the concept art got actually scrapped for this expansion. It was planned to have a major horde hut inside one of the skeletons of the giants. It was supposed to be a giant skeleton with a city within. That it's so much they cut from this expansion, I wish they would have not. I don't think these buildings on this page is actually made by the orcs, but by the ogres. In Nagrand, they have a lot of buildings with structures like these that is made by ogres. That is one of my two favorite races in game, ogres and the goblins. Here is some kind of, is it a weapon, a calister? I don't even know. A wagon maybe? The primitive buildings of the orcs of this timeline. Just look at the wasteland with the big moon in the background. This was one of the main planned big cities. Look, just from the concept art, they planned on having large cities within these giant skeletons. And all the lore surrounding that, everything is got scrapped. And I think this is the most exciting part about the world building, describing the old races that used to roam the continents that are long forgotten. Here are more pictures of the frozen wasteland. Section 2, Gorgrond. Hot, dry river channels wind through the bleak landscape of Gorgrond. Fissures steam and fill the air with noxious plumes. Once belonging to the beastly Gron, the territory has been transformed by the Blackrock orcs into a massive staging area for their engines of war. The land is a barren waste, devoid of redeeming features. Its residents are even worse, vindicated Marad. The whole lore for this expansion is that Garrosh Hellscream got help by a bronze dragon to escape his prison of war, to travel back in time to alternate timeline, to help the old orcs and his old father to build this massive iron horde, to enter the dark portal to invade Azeroth, and I am getting lost myself just describing it. There's way too many plot holes in this story, and they could have taken another route, but oh well. Here is some concept art for this area, and even though you can see it's a hot wasteland, there's also a lot of greenery. Here they made these tree dudes, I guess, plant guys, I don't know. This is one of the few expansions I am not read up on the lore on. I used to love the lore of the game so much, and read into it. I used to have every single lore book. And they just stopped with the old world building, old main characters, developed characters, and just made new ones for every expansion that you don't care about at all. Fortunately. Here we can see the towers they made in the geyser, I guess. These might be some fumes that they use from the geysers. They got steam pumping up. And it was supposed, this is another piece of cut content, it was supposed to be this huge railroad running around the entire zone of Gorgrond, and it got cut out. They implemented a dungeon where you actually are on this train and you fight enemies on this train going around Gorgrond, but it's not in the zone. So they should have cut that dungeon as well. All the geysers in this hot, steamy region. They could have gone in so much into the different orcish clans and why they maybe acted like they did when they entered Azeroth, and the starvation of their people in living in these regions, but I don't know, I think they focus too much on the main story with a bad guy, aside from side quest and world building. Here they have some concept art for the different weapons, engine wheel, tracks for the regular wheels. Look, here's a little shape of an orc. It was supposed to be this small compared to the rails, but it got completely scrapped. Section 3, Nagrand. The great rolling grasslands and natural stone bridges of Nagrand offer a fragile sense of serenity not found elsewhere on Draenor. Pastel skies and rich hunting grounds welcome the orcs who make a pilgrimage to the ancient mountains of Oshugun. I always looked forward to the Koshharg festivals in Nagrand, for it was a time of rare friendship. Chieftain Durotar. There are the big pillars that in the Nagrand of Outland are just floating in the sky, destroyed by the twisting nether. You can see big green landscapes with a lot of exotic plants and life. The throne of the elements is here as well, if I don't misremember. Just look. Some of these floating islands were here already, and I don't think they explained why. It's explained in the Burning Crusade lore that this is because of the twisting nether, but in this alternate reality, that is not a thing yet. That has not happened in this world. So I wonder if no one actually tried to point that out, or if they were just trying to work with the nostalgic aesthetic of the Burning Crusade. Look how beautiful. The description of serenity is something I agree with. Look at cliffs up in the sky. The clouds, here you can see the sunset. During night time, is this morning or evening, and daytime. These big, beautiful hunting grounds with a lot of waterfalls, I guess, down from the pillars. Here you can see bridges connecting the small islands with some orcs walking over them. Here's a part of the Sangar Sea. The Sangar Sea is what became Sangar March during the Burning Crusade. And you could actually not really visit this during the Warlords of Draenor expansion at all. It's the rare alien land with big mushrooms out in the seas that drench the land later on after the twisting nether, engulfed the whole planet after Gul'dan opening the black portal. I wish they would have made like in Cataclysm with Bashir, where you could went out to the sea and experience this underwater land of an alien planet. Oh, look. I know the sea and deep sea brings a lot of anxiety and fear to a lot of people. But I really love mysterious and dark things like the sea. What's on the bottom, what creatures, the depths. I like the horror aspect of that. Look, here's some big lurking creature in the shadows of the deep water. Some jellyfish, steams of fishes, and the giant glowing mushrooms down at the bottom. Section 4, Shadow Moon Valley. A colossal moon hangs above Draenor, but nowhere is it more imposing than over this mystical valley. Twilight blankets land, and stars glimmer over its grassy hills. In the east, a wondrous Draenei temple complex stretches into the sea, but its outer pavilion lies vulnerable to siege by the Iron Hall. In moments of great strife, I gaze into the heavens and see just how far we already have come. The Prophet Velen. About that, the Prophet Velen is the leader of the Draenei race. And during this expansion, we went back into an alternative timeline where he sacrificed himself. But that's, I guess, whatever, since he's still alive in the current game and has been doing nothing since the Legion expansion, and during that he didn't do a lot. So, my Prophet problem with the world building, but look. These strange stones used for rituals with the moonlight, all the stardust. Here we can see some of the ritual sites with the different inscriptions and runes of the stones. Some more fungi and flowers, all inspired by the shade of the moonlight. A zone that is always darkened. Here looks like a big black hole. This is some concept art that is not in game. It looks like this ritual site out in the universe, and inside of the big circle of ruined stones is a black hole being summoned. But this is actually not a part of the game, unfortunately. They missed out on so much, man, so much missed potential. Look at all these galaxy patterns. Here's some ice frozen in time and crystals. They actually had a lot planned. And all of these wonderful people working at Blizzard Entertainment, now Activision, they have amazing imagination and they can create great things, but they wish they would have made a different approach to the game. I've been planning on making a video with what I think would have been very good for the health of the game, but that is just in my opinion. I actually have to hold down this side of the book, since this is the first time it's getting open. It just wants to spring back closed. Here we can see an orc looking over the landscape with the moon, the stars and the ritual scenes of this mystical land. Section 5. Spires of Iraq. The creature confined to the ground, a thin forest canopy, make a poor shield against the dangers above. Rising from sharp peaks, the magnificent architecture of the ancient Arakoa reaches towards the sky. A young hunter hears a great beating of wings above his head. By the time he recognizes it, he is already doomed. Chieftain Duraton. Here's the Arakoan buildings. These are the bird creatures that spawned from their own demigod or old god. You can see they are bird-like creatures living in nests high in the sky. Inside the buildings, it has this very magnificent architecture with a lot of metal items. They are approached in the game as a very primitive race, but as you can see, they are very much before the orcs with their technology, before the Iron Horde became a thing. So it's very strange, I think, how Blizzard described the races of the world. And just look, high peaks with almost no living plants or trees, with a orange-red burning sky. Here is during the darker zones of the evening. It looks very cold, this landscape. Some creatures hiding in the trunks of the trees. Here's a tiny little character. And how big the trees are supposed to be compared to a character. So just imagine the age of this trees. Section 6. Talador. Talador is a sanctuary of the Draenor people. At its heart rests Shattrath, the great metropolis and the spiritual well of Augundun, bathed in a perpetual autumnal hue. These beautiful sculptured gardens and lanes are at risk of decimation by the Iron Horde and the Burning Legion. When I remember our beautiful city with its glimmering spires, my heart aches. Vindicator Maraude. And that was it as well. The Draenor actually came to this planet of Draenor since the Burning Legion destroyed their own, and after fleeing the World of Draenor they came to Azeroth. And that as well, it's been so many years with this World of Warcraft. Why have we not seen a past or something? Like a flashback or something of the Draenor's home world. I have so many questions, that I want to just have a sneak peek of. But here we can see Shattrath before getting totally destroyed in the Outland version during the Burning Crusade expansion. It has all of these tinted glass windows, beautiful gardens and high spires of these soul-driven engine crystals that also never got explained even more. But the Draenor use the souls of their people to fuel their spaceships. Now, did they do that now with the Shadowlands, using souls as just a mechanical part of a man-made afterlife? I don't know, man. Plot holes. Look. Now, on the side of Shattrath is a big, or maybe this is Augundun. Can't even see really. But this is supposed to be like an harbor going out. Maybe it was Shattrath, since I can recognize it with all these little huts. Here is inside of Shattrath. The big crystal pillars filled with souls of dead Draenor. Section 7. Tanaan Jungle. A land of primeval forests, this chaotic maze of rivers and woodlands is split apart by the machinations of war. Orcish armies burn a black path of destruction through the jungle. Beyond the trail's edge, twisting trees, hidden details and crushing waterfalls tempt the unwary traveler to explore and never be seen again. When in a jungle, waging war against an eternal evil, it is good to bring at least one set of waterproof footwear. Archmage Khadgar. Khadgar is one of my favorite lore characters except from Medivh, and they have made nothing with them for so many years. Here's the dangerous forest of Tanaan Jungle. This was the only late game zone they made for the game, unfortunately. And these big flesh-eating flowers and big vines and thorns. Here's a lot of the concept art for the wildlife flowers. A lot of flowers that seems like they eat flesh from bugs and all of that, flesh-eating plants. Because they have that look of decaying flesh. A lot of beautiful, very strange. This actually looks so alien. It's such a cool, imaginative thing. They have not made any concept art with maybe characters or lore characters or storylines in them, just landscapes. Even though that's this chapter, it makes me believe that they made this art book specifically, or the art pieces I mean, specifically for the book. That it's not made for the expansion but to produce a book. You get what I'm saying? Here's a piece from the intro cinematic. All of these little lights going around the forest is the orcs planning on invading the dark portal that is opening up to Azeroth from this alternative timeline. Bricks, banners and buttresses, garrisons and other buildings. Though Azeroth's champions will travel far from home, they will have the chance to make a new one on Draenor. After all, home is where the Hearthstone is. With each victory over the Iron Horde, the champion's fortress will grow, attracting followers who are eager to provide resources and aid for the next battle. Unfortunately, the garrisons were the only time they tried to make player housing in the game up to this day, and it was not enjoyed. First of all, they made both herbalism and mining stations which you could just go into daily, so farming gold that way in the world were just, everyone could claim their own resources from their own garrisons. So farming and professions used the gold sank so much. And you were alone in your garrison and you had everything you actually needed, so players got very alone and isolated during this expansion, and you lost a lot of the community sense and feeling, unfortunately. I would love player housing and just farming rare items for your little home, like tables or paintings and stuff like that. That is so hard to get. That would be such a nice little thing to actually have. But there are some of the alliance garrison pieces, some huts, homes, town halls. Here's what's this called, a garrison? No, but like a foothold for all your soldiers, some tents, and an inn, engineering stations. I don't know why this is a piece of it, because we never got any trains in game. But maybe it's part of the foreground ideas that they wanted for this expansion. Here's a big dark iron horned hut they made. And here is the same exact art piece, these two that were used a couple of pages earlier. That's strange. But it was supposed to be a giant city within the giant's skeleton. And they never went through that lore. It just cut it out completely, like, oh, here are some dead giants, but oh well, what happened to them? Who knows? Here's from the cinematic as well. They started working on building their own dark portal. But you can actually see how huge this is. In game it feels very much smaller. But I love the sunset, or is it the sunrise, over the mountains. Here are some more of the concepts art for the garrisons. Crates, lanterns, some lamps, tables, benches, beds. All of that for your armies of NPCs. Here are some enchanting hub, so you never had to leave your garrison and meet other players. Here is some of the huts for the hordes of Nagrand with the leather roof. From from Shadow Moon Valley. Some of the clans of Ner'zhul, right? With the dark magic, void magic rituals. Oh wow, they actually had none of the concept art for the garrisons of the hordes that were placed in Frostfire Ridge. So maybe that was something they didn't have the concept of yet. So I think this book is actually like something they made after starting off the game or something like that, you know, just to have something to give out. Living Wild, the indigenous races and bestiary. The history of Draenor is marked by constant conflict and frequent periods of total chaos. Weak creatures have long since been eradicated. All life has learned to thrive despite facing unending threats, both great and small, and yet, amidst the brutality, there is much genuine beauty to behold. That is so, you know, about like weak creatures. You had like big giants larger than every other races, and then you just died. Like, what? Factions. The orc clans are diverse as the landscape, each developing its own approach to survival in the wild. Perhaps most frightening of all, they have learned to adapt to change. New threats are dealt with as quickly as the old ones. From what I've heard, before they formed the Horde, the orcs were apparently no more hostile than any other life on Draenor, which is to say, they were quite hostile indeed. Archmage Cactica. Here's some really, I don't know if you can see it so well from this angle. Some really goofy looking concept art with the orcs' faces. I don't know. This is what I get from, like, when I think of orcs, I think of big, like totally muscular men, like Garrosh, Hellscream. But they made concept art that looks a bit goofy, like from Warhammer 40k. The orcs just looks, I don't know, a bit silly. Like they are supposed to be, you know, this race of being primitive while they are incredibly strong. It's, I don't know, like they were warlords. They were not like this primitive, stupid race. I don't know how they think sometimes. Look, here's Grommash. From the cinematic, refusing to drink the blood of Manoroth. Here are some female orc. That's a really nice look. She has this, I guess these are some teeth from killed beasts. They are so sharp they are cutting into her own flesh. That is actually amazing. This Bane-looking guy next to Doomhammer, right? It was one of the Blackfist Doomhammer, or Blackfist. Hard to remember. But they look very frightening. That's so good. And this ogre in the background that has gotten no love from this book yet. Here is Duratan, the leader of the Frostwolf clan. I think that is actually supposed to be like a nice guy. Not hostile, even to the players. Almost like during Cataclysm, where they made Thrall from like the war chief into Green Jesus. If you remember that. Not a fan. Here are some creatures that did not make it into the game, if I remember correctly. Some broken orcs, I guess. I cannot remember what this was called. Was this a Gron? Maybe this was a Gron. The one-eyed Cyclops, large ones. And all of these during the expansion, I don't even think we saw one. They were just enslaved by the orcs. Used as, I don't know, It's like a vehicle for them to get on with war. And here, or was this the Gron? This is like the demigods, the elemental Gron-like creatures that the Gron came from. It's hard to explain. I can't remember on my own the lore right now. But they had a lot of really nice plans for this expansion. There are these annoying little things. I'm not gonna say anything horrible, but these ones were awful. I did not enjoy them. Oh, just look. Them turning into a ball and spinning away. Trying to go for like that Murloc vibes, I guess. And here's a part of the lore I can't remember as well, that I am not explained or just like written a little bar. These were like giants as well, elemental giants fighting on the plains of Gorgon. Like these flower-like creatures, plant creatures, and they just got killed off as well. Because who knows, right? These guys we never saw in game as well, so this concept art completely scratched. Oh my god, these ones is neither in the game. I don't know what this even is. Looks like some cute, thick, furry guys, you know? I love myself some plump, chubby guys, you know? What happened to these? They look so adorable. Why is this not in the game? And why is it in the art book if it's not in the game? This one as well. They were just some enemies in the plant part. You can see the big living plant hydra. I don't think I have any lore to that as well. So much that you just don't recognize, man. Oh god. These were some plant monsters as well. Maybe based off the Mist of Pandaria tricksters. Sometimes you don't have to make like everything an enemy, right? Like, oh, we need something new. We need a new Murloc for every expansion. Like some little cute thing with big eyes that is horrible to meet. I don't know. Here's Manoroth. From the cinematic. Section 2, Beasts and Creatures. Wildlife finds niches to claim even in the harshest of Draenor's landscapes. Some chooses to run when their territory is invaded. Others choose to fight. Your own survival will depend on making the right choice. Not all that walk this land seem to kill, but all life is dangerous when cornered. The Prophet Velen. Here are some of the Arakoa, looking a bit more eagle-like. Here are even the heads of some of the Arakoas, I guess, looking pretty horrible, like based on dinosaurs, but that is not how they came alive, I guess. Some insects looking things, that's nice. We have some melecs, big worms, cleft hoofs, elks. It looks like a crab. And this, I'm so sad. This is the first little text. Fungal whale that was supposed to be in the Sangar Sea. Never seen one, they didn't implement them, and it looks amazing. Such a shame, man. Here is some of the Tony the Tiger guys. You also met them in like one zone. I think it was the Spires of Arak. They were just like lion, tiger men and women, just doing their own thing. No lore, no history. Where did they come from? Where did they like develop from? No, nothing. And I don't think here it's a one with 4 eyes. I don't think they had that. some void creatures. This little happy hippo. And that was it. That was all of them. The bestiary, no text, no nothing. It's such a shame. They cut out so much from this art book as well. Oh my god. Girded for war, arms and armor. On the ancient world of Draenor, different races have developed ornaments that reflect their unique cultures and environments. The ageless Draenei favor graceful crystalline weapons and sculptured armor. Orcish gear is as diverse as the regions the clans dwell in, constructed of every material available. Even the brutish ogres employ natural or coarse-cut items to make war and defend their territory. Here is a morgue with some weapons, a sword, a shield, some maces, an axe, and some maces maybe. Some vehicles that did not really get implemented in the game. Cannons. Some more concept art for both humans, I guess, and orcs. Looking very buff. I don't think they ever made a plate set looking like this. It was actually really nice. Some swords, and you can see it's just 3 colors of each other. Some grey base items. Here some items and gear that looks like bones, very primitive weapons of their guild animals, trophies maybe. Here's a iron orc set, but they did not finish off the pants. So it's just an orc with armor but no underwear. Maybe that was the plan. It's you have a lot of vital parts in this area, so but it's quite nice to see males in like female typical armor, just show off this region, and who cares if you get stabbed in the stomach. Here we have some more orc gear. Here's some leather base armor. Just look at the goofy face of this orc. He's not happy about the armor. It looks like the 3 Vikings they made a old game of. Pretty cheesy, right? Oh wow, that was actually the end of this book. A lot of thanks to the people who produced it. And the last page is of commercial scream from the cinematic. Oh wow. I did not actually expect this book to be so short and lacking so much. All of the arenas they have, all of the lore, no texts about the ancient history, not even of the Horde garrisons, any concept art, tiny bit of the Alliance concept art, and the old ogres, nothing about them. I'm actually pretty shocked. I really enjoyed this experience though, going through this last book I had in my collection of art books from the collector's editions boxes. But this was very lacking. Let me know if you enjoyed this expansion, or if you're just like me, nostalgic now for the years that has been, but they missed out a lot. Unfortunately, a lot of content, and it can even be seen in this book. But I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it relaxing. will see you in my future content.